How well do you know advanced English tenses? Find out in this advanced English tenses quiz. Here's question 1. This is an easy one, so you can get used to how the quiz works. I give you a text with some gaps, and you have to choose whether A or B fills the gaps. Here we go. I, something, live in a 2-bedroom house. It's something, a driveway at the front. There, something, a small garden at the back. Do we fill the gaps with live, has and is, or am living, is having, is being? I'll give you 5 seconds to think. And here are the answers. I live in a 2-bedroom house. It has a driveway at the front. There is a small garden at the back. So why was it A and not B? Well, the first one actually could have been A or B. It could have been live if it's something that you consider to be permanent. Maybe you live in a house and you think you're always going to be there. Then it's permanent, and that becomes the present simple because we use the present simple for things that are fixed. So if this house is your fixed address, then use the present simple. Now, if it was only a temporary address, maybe you're staying there for a few days or weeks or months, you could have said, I am living, because then it's not fixed, it's temporary. But the other ones have to be the present simple. It has a driveway at the front. Well, this is something that is fixed, so we use the present simple. We don't usually have temporary driveways. People don't make a driveway one day and then dig it up for grass the next day. No, a driveway normally stays there all the time. And there is a small garden at the back. Now, normally when a house has a small garden, it's always there. So it's something fixed, and we use the present simple. Here's question 2. Have you ever lived in a 2-bedroom house? Yes, I, something, in a 2-bedroom house. Is it have been living or have lived? I'll give you 5 seconds to think. Here's the answer. It's I have lived. Why? Because we're talking about something that is true any time before now. So we use the present perfect simple. We know it's referring to any time in the past because of the question. Have you ever lived in a 2-bedroom house? The word ever means at a time between when you were born until now. So it means at any time before now, any time in the past. Present perfect simple. Why not the present perfect continuous here? Well, if I'm going to use the present perfect continuous, then what I really mean is something has been in progress between a past moment and now. And I'm also focusing on the activity involved. So if I was to answer with the present perfect continuous, I'd probably say something like this. I have been living in a 2-bedroom house for the past 2 years. So there's some sort of connection to right now. But if we're just talking about a long time period and something that happens in the middle of that time period, present perfect simple. Question 3. I lived in an apartment last year. I gap in a 2-bedroom house the year before. Lived or had lived? I'll give you 5 seconds. And here's the answer. I had lived. Now, why is it I had lived? When something is true at a time before another past time, then we're likely to use the past perfect simple if the order of events is wrong. Here, the event that happened nearest to now comes first in the story. The event that happens furthest from now comes next. Now, normally in a story, we expect to have a sequence of events that goes from the furthest in the past towards the nearest. And here we use the past simple to progress things. But here in this example, it's reversed. The time is actually going backwards. And to show that time goes backwards for the second sentence in the story, use the past perfect simple. Now, could I have said I lived in a 2-bedroom house the year before? Well, some people would, yes. The year before itself gives us the context. So you can still get your meaning across in the correct way because the year before actually provides the past perfect context for the listener. But grammatically, the correct thing to do is to use the past perfect here. Imagine the sentence without the year before. How would you know that it was before the event that we said first? We could only do that by using the past perfect simple. So that's the best answer here rather than lived. Question 4. I something in an apartment on the day I finish my studies. Is it A, will be, or B, will be living? The correct answer is will be living. But notice I've got a couple of asterisks next to will be because I've got something more to say about that in a moment. So an activity at the specific moment in the future is accompanied with the future continuous form. Will plus be plus verb plus ing. This means this activity will be in progress at this time in the future. So on the day I finish my studies, this will be the activity. I will be living in an apartment. But actually, in some situations, will be is also okay. Because if we're referring to future states, then we're not talking about an activity at all. And it does not need to be in the future continuous. It can stay in the future simple here. We could say, I will be in an apartment on the day I finish my studies. That's correct too. Not doing an activity at all. It's just a future state. So if you're trying to describe a future activity, future continuous, if it's a future state, use the future simple, even if it is talking about the moment when something happens. Here's question 5. When I something this course, I hope to be accepted onto a degree abroad. 5 seconds. And this is the answer. When I finish this course. Not will finish. You might think it's will because we're talking about the future. When is looking forward to a time in the future. But when you use linkers of future time, linking words like when or after, then use the present simple with it. Don't use the future form of will. When has already provided the future context. You only have to add the present simple here. And if you want to take your learning of tenses further, I have a huge section on English grammar and tenses in my course, Perfect English Grammar, A1 to C2 levels. There's 41 hours of videos from me and opportunities for you to practice your speaking in real time, in realistic situations where you will speak to the computer and you can start a conversation that way. There's a link to the course in the description below me here if you'd like to know more. Let's carry on with question 6. When I finish this course, I hope to be accepted onto a degree abroad. Presently, I, gap, more confident in my studies. Is it have become or am becoming? 5 seconds. Here's the answer. Am becoming, because it's a developing situation. We've said presently. If I was to say have become, I need to say recently. Presently, I am becoming. This is developing. Recently, I have become. It developed in the past up to now. Do you see the difference? The present perfect doesn't go with presently if we're talking about a developing situation that's still in progress now. Question 7. By this time next year, Ava, gap, her university degree. Is it will have finished or will finish? Here's the answer. It's will have finished. Why? Because we're looking for the future perfect form here. These are for activities happening by a stated time. So we're talking about a period of time into a future. We're thinking about a future specific moment and an activity completed by that moment. Use the future perfect. Will have finished. Question 8. Mary is going to Egypt next week. While she's there, she, gap, ancient temples. Is it will be exploring or will have explored? 5 seconds. Here's the answer. Will be exploring. And this is for activities happening at a stated time. We looked at this earlier in question 4. But here I've repeated it again to contrast with the present, with the future perfect. So here we're talking about at a stated time, not by the time. We're talking about when she's there, not before this time in the future. So we use the future continuous, not the future perfect. Question 9. In her latest film, Mary something Mount Kilimanjaro. Climbed or climbs? 5 seconds. Here's the answer. It's actually climbs. Why is that? When you are reviewing an activity that is publicly accessible and has a story, use the present simple, even for something that happened in the past. Perhaps I should put that in simpler language. When you are reviewing a film or a book or something that you can hear, a story that's published and you can listen to, we often use the present simple, not the past simple. Why? Because the story is something that stays like a permanent thing throughout history now. It's been recorded. It's being published. So I can watch it today. I can watch it tomorrow. I could have watched it yesterday. It becomes like a permanent thing. So we think about the story as if it has some sort of permanence. We tend not to use the past simple. Would it be wrong to use the past simple? Well, you could use the past simple, but it doesn't get across that sense of a story that you can experience at this moment in time, at another moment in time, at any moment in time. So the present simple is more likely here. And question 10. Can you turn the music down? You, something, too loud. Are too loud or are being too loud? Which one? 5 seconds. Here's the answer. Are being too loud. And this is because we use the present continuous for behaviour relating to only this moment or only that particular moment. If you say you are too loud, that means that's what you're like as a person. And that's not what we're trying to get across here. We're just talking about one particular moment because the music is too loud now. And here's a reminder that if any of those grammatical topics seem difficult, or you want further explanations or more practice, or you just want to learn more from me in general, this is the best course that I have because it's 41 hours long. There's a link in the description below. Make your English grammar perfect by taking my Perfect English Grammar course.